So you and your partner have broken up right now, but you're making changes. You're trying hard. You're doing what you can to turn your relationship around. But as of right now, there's no change. How long should it take for them to see the effort that you're putting in? 6 months, 8 months? How long are you supposed to wait before walking away? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down how long it actually takes to reconcile, what you need to understand during this whole process, and the 2 crucial things that will make that timeline shorter. So let's face it, when we realize that we've screwed up in a relationship, it can snap us to reality pretty quickly. You know, a few years ago at the start of my journey, I literally watched one YouTube video and it hit me like a pile of bricks how badly I'd messed up. And you know, a lot of the members that I work with have had that same realization. It's very sobering. But once we have that realization, we can immediately start to do things differently, to make changes to the way that we do things, and even start talking to our partner, letting them know how we understand that we screwed up. So we understand that it's not going to be quick to repair a relationship. But how long does a reconciliation truly take? Well, to understand that, we need to understand a couple of things about the breakup itself. So the first thing to understand is that there are no instant results. So when a relationship is damaged, we can look for some instantaneous solution. You know, when you know that you've screwed up, it can seem simple, right? I did XYZ, I'm going to stop doing XYZ. We can make this promise with good intentions to change. But oftentimes your partner simply just doesn't believe it. This is because the truth is that the breakup happening now is the result of things that happened over the last 6 to 12 months. It's never just one event. Even when it's something that has really broken trust, like an affair, it's the event plus all of the smaller events leading up to it. So let's say you had an affair. You instantly regretted it, you admit you screwed up, and you want to reconcile. The fact is that there are likely many, many other smaller things that led up to that event. Arguments, crossed words, raised voices, insults, distance, dismissing your partner's feeling, all of these smaller things that led up to this big event. So if you're trying to repair the relationship, you cannot expect instantaneous results. All of the resistance that your partner is feeling to reconciling right now is a result of actions that happened 6 to 12 months ago. And even in cases where you do reconcile very, very quickly, there's still going to be a lot of repairing to do. So let's say you reconcile tomorrow, there can still be a lot of hot and cold behavior that can last for 6 to 12 months as your partner tries to process the feelings of the last 6 to 12 months. So when it comes to reconciliation, there are no instantaneous fixes. There is a lot of work to do, but this is a good thing because this means what you do now will have an impact in the next 6 to 12 months. So if you start showing up right now, your partner is really going to start to feel those changes. Because deep down, both you and your partner knows that true change doesn't just happen overnight. And just before I dive into more detail on that, if you do want more videos on relationships, then feel free to subscribe to my channel for new videos every single week. Next, it's really important to understand that things will get worse before they get better. So in the process of reconciliation, when your partner sees that you are changing, they usually get more suspicious. Call this the valley of doubt. This is where your partner's expectancy bias will peak. So expectancy bias is where your partner, based on the last 6, 12, 18 months, has seen the pattern of how you've acted, how you've handled discords within the relationship, and how the relationship has gone. And your partner will be applying that knowledge moving forward to look at how they expect the future to look. And it makes sense, you know, if you think about it, if you have a car that's been struggling to start every few weeks for the past 12 months, when it does finally break down, you get it fixed, you're going to be super suspicious about every small noise or every clank that you hear or every moment when it doesn't start instantaneously. This is because you're expecting the same thing that's been happening for the past 12 months to happen. And it takes a little while for your brain to click that this isn't going to happen anymore. And relationships work in exactly the same way. If you think about it, if things have been bad, then suddenly you start acting in all the right ways, then they're going to get worried because it's such a big jump. It's so instant that they may start to be like, well, this is all a ruse or a lie simply to get me back. So this valley of doubt can last for a few months where things actually get worse. And this dip can happen 3 months in, 6 months in, depending on how much you've grown and how much you've changed. So during the 6 to 12 months of reconciliation, things can feel in moments like they've actually slid backwards for a few months. And this can take a lot of people by surprise. But this is actually a crucial moment in the relationship. You know, if you've been watching me for a while, you will have heard me talk about how you act in the hard moments. That shows your partner whether you're changing for the right reasons. And if this is your first time here and you're interested in more videos on building healthy relationships, then do feel free to subscribe to the channel for new videos every single week. So this whole period can take 6 to 12 months, but there are 3 crucial things that have a massive impact on how long it does take to reconcile. So just building on the previous point, what you do in the toughest moments will shorten the timeline. Because expectancy bias is so high, your partner's brain will subconsciously test you. This is not conscious, but their own self-protection can lead them to raise the standard for your actions to a very, very high level. They can remove all hope of the relationship getting back together. They can tell you to give up. They can tell you that it's over for good. This is their defense mechanisms trying to protect themselves from hurt. But this is why your willingness to change and grow needs to be tied to your own growth, not the relationship. So during these tough moments, these subconscious tests of your partner, this is going to show whether you have changed or whether it was all just surface level and to try to reconcile. So for example, let's say you want to grow and change. You want to learn more about your partner. If that is true, then your partner should, in theory, be able to speak their honest opinion about you and give you some tough truths. And you should embrace it, right? Because if you're really wanting to change and grow, then you want feedback. But if you don't really want to change, then you'll crumble. You're going to go back to your old ways. You're going to speak in toxic ways. You're going to destroy all that emotional safety that you've been building back. You're going to show your true colors. And this is something that we all do as human beings. And all of my successful members have gone through the same process. As they've been rebuilding their relationships, they have encountered this expectancy bias where hope has been taken away. But because they've mastered the skills and tools to master these conversations and show up in the right ways, they're able to show their partner that the changes are real and are deep. Because the truth is that the deeper your changes are, the shorter the amount of time it takes to reconcile. So, when we're trying to grow ourselves, when we're trying to become better people, right, we can usually pivot within a certain comfort zone. So we grow, but we grow maybe 5% or 6%. To our partner, those small changes just don't really cut it, right? So what you may find is that they see some growth and they see the willingness to grow, but it's very slow for them, because this growth is very, very small. So they keep you at an arm's length for a long period of time. And the reason our growth can be so small is because we can get attached to this idea of identity. And this false sense of identity can lead us to slow growth. So as an example of this, we can get tied to this idea that I'm not the type of person who will allow someone to disrespect me. I'm not the type of person who will back down from being attacked. I'm not the type of person that will let something lie. I'm not the type of person, we gather these identities and we attach them to ourselves like a badge of honor. And we do it without questioning them. And oftentimes these identities, these labels that we attach to ourselves aren't even ours. They're like our parents or the culture that we grew up with, the experiences that we had. So we wear these badges of pride, but they're not really us. They're actually other people. And this is why growth can be so slow and so shallow, because ultimately we can still hold the same beliefs, which leads us to have the same thoughts, the same feelings, and perform pretty much the same actions. We don't really change that much. And this can sound pretty abstract, but let's put it this way. Imagine you're a chef. If you always use low quality ingredients, then no matter how much you change your recipe, you're only ever going to create a dish that's pretty poor quality, right? Because the ingredients you're using is low quality. You're never going to create a great quality dish. And this can happen when we try to change. When we try to change, it feels like we made some big changes, but actually we're just changing 5% or 6%. And that's not enough to really convince our partner to come back, because our beliefs are still the same. So the more that you dig deeper into your beliefs and the core principles that you actually live by and start to question them and see whether they're actually effective, the quicker your reconciliation will be, because you'll make deeper changes in a bigger way. And because your changes will be bigger, your partner will be able to believe them more readily. And obviously there's only so much detail I can go into sort of what beliefs are ineffective and what are effective, but these are skills that I work on with all of my successful ultra normal members. And if you do want to join us, then sign up for the free relationship bootcamp, where you'll learn the same steps to start turning your relationship around today. Click on the link in the description to grab your spot. This is because when it comes to reconciliation, it's not just the timeline of interactions and your partner seeing changes, it's about the quality of them. It's very easy to change 5 or 10%, change a little bit. This can lead to 1 or 2 good interactions where your partner can feel a little bit of hope. But ultimately, 5 or 6% change is not really a high enough standard to bring them back to you. So as an example, let's say out of every 100 interactions with your partner, 90 of them used to end badly. You can make some surface level changes, and out of the next 100 interactions, maybe 51 of them are good. And the other 49 of these interactions are kind of shaky. This is where a lot of people can look at those 51 good interactions over 6 months and pat themselves on the back and say, well, surely my partner can see that I've changed. Look how much our interactions have changed positively. But your partner is now looking at the 49 shaky or bad interactions and looking at that saying, well, I can see improvement, but this is not good enough. Because before your partner comes back, they need to see a lot more over a longer period of time. When you change deeply, it becomes effortless to be able to have many, many more successful interactions and start changing those interactions to 100% of the time. this is what your partner is looking for over the next 6 to 12 months. Because like we mentioned earlier, there are ups and downs throughout this whole journey. And when it comes to reconciliation, there are actually 5 distinct stages to go through before you actually have full reconciliation. So it's important to understand these 5 different stages and what to expect. So if you do want to deeper dive into these 5 stages, then I'll leave you with this video right here. I'll see you over there.